beat the drum, Rariah is no longer dumb. Yes, my friends, in this week's episode of Gundam Reconguista in G, Rariah is finally starting to form sentences. Legitimate sentences. She actually seems to be a sentient being in this week's episode, and that's because all of her memories are slowly starting to come back, and that has to do with the introduction of all of these brand new Towasangan characters. Is it Towasanga? I'm not really sure how they handle that stuff. The point is, this week's episode was pretty freaking classic. It just had a lot of really great mobile suit battles, a lot of flashy imagery, good animation. The one negative I do have to say about this episode is the brand new intro. It sucks. It is not very good in my opinion. I don't like the song. The imagery is just old reused shots from the previous episodes and a few new ones that we haven't seen, but for the most part, it's a complete retread. And that really bugs me, because this is a series that has such a unique and beautiful art style, and they could come up with some really interesting imagery for the intro of the show, and they don't do that at all, and it actually just feels kind of underwhelming, and I really liked the first song a lot better. I just did. That's just the way I feel about it. Otherwise, this episode is really good. They're slowly but surely starting to build the Towasanga threat, and what I really love is the fact that everybody is still working together, and I love that Mask has the Superman thing going for him, where, you know, he basically just changes his glasses and no one knows who he is, and I'm not sure if Manny actually realizes that Mask is Lewin Lee or not. I don't know if she's just blissfully ignorant to all of it, but little by little I can feel her character death happening, and only because she wants to impress Mask and she even wants to learn how to pilot mobile suits, and I don't know, I just feel like this is leading to a character death. That's just the way I see it. That's the way I would feel if I were watching an old school Gundam anime, and that's basically what this is. And even though the Capital Army and the American Army use some pretty dirty tactics, how they're using Sankt Porto as like a shield, it is really smart how they're actually able to defeat the Towasangan forces. And there is a really great scene where Bellry and the G-Self Gundam are able to go out and annihilate a few other mobile suits, and then he actually is about to kill this one soldier who actually ends up surrendering completely, which is something you don't see too often in a Gundam anime series. And this character is most certainly going to be important because, A, he has some sort of connection to the G-Cell for its creation, or he's seen it before, and B, he has a distinctive character design. He has a ridiculous haircut, and you just know that means he's going to be important. And he's basically talking a little bit about Towasanga as they're actually arriving, which looks really awesome at the end of the episode. I really can't wait to see what the actual, like, Towasanga looks like, because, I mean, from afar, it basically just looks like the Death Star. You know, I'm really interested to see what the whole culture of this place is going to be. And little by little, they seem to be, like, giving us hints to what Towasanga is going to do, maybe who they have ties to, especially with that one female colonel, who also has ties to that one mobile suit pilot. And it looks like little by little they are going to try and plan their whole Reconguista of Earth. So I really can't wait to see how that's going to go down and how this is all going to tie into Colonel Koopa's plan. There's a lot of political intrigue in this series, but it's all dressed up with a lot of beautiful animation and lots of really awesome mobile suit battles. So what's the rundown? On this week's episode of Gundam Reconguista in G, it was really good. One of the better episodes that I've seen in quite some time, and not just because Rariah is finally starting to have a character and develop as someone, and she's way less annoying, but I loved that scene where Klimnik was being attacked by these two mobile suits, and he just playfully pulled out his massive beam rifle, shot it in the face, pulled out a beam axe, cut through it, literally through its hand and face, and then it exploded in space. That was a great scene, and it's followed up by Klimnik being so arrogantly hilarious by claiming how much of a genius he really is. It's a fantastic scene that mechaphiles are really going to love, and it just looks really flashy and awesome. Probably my favorite action scene from this week's episode, aside from some of the stuff that the G-Self was doing. But really, I'm just kind of questioning where this is all going. I'm really not sure. They keep giving us little hints to who Towasanga might have ties to, and these three people who came in for negotiations, like, clearly something big is getting ready to go down, and I'm really interested to see how that's going to work. And of course, there's just, you know, the promise of certain characters might meet their doom, like Manny, you know, there's something very strange about that. I see that happening. It totally seems like a plot from an old school Gundam anime. But for the most part, this was just another really good, high-quality episode with really great animation and artwork, and a lot of little fun moments. I love how I'm really getting used to the Megafauna crew, and that's something that's really important in a Gundam anime series. Whenever they have, like, a big battleship, you gotta get to know the crew. They all have to have their own distinctive personalities, and they're all really goofy, and I love how they play off of each other. And another thing that I really loved about this episode, and this is really minor to a lot of people, I love the distinctive sound effects of the series, and I think that's what makes Gundam so classic sci-fi. You could even compare it to something like Star Wars and Star Trek. Like, look at Star Wars, the sound of a lightsaber, the sound of a TIE fighter, or Star Trek, you got the sound of the doors opening, or someone being beamed away. In Gundam, you have the sound of the radars going off, the sound of the beam sabers, the firing beams themselves, the Minovsky particles, just everything has its own special sound effect, and they've been using them for years, and yet every single time I hear it, it's just as exciting, and I really love that. It's a real minor thing, but I really love it, especially as an old-school Gundam fan. So this was a really good episode, a little confusing in some parts, and a lot of good slow moments, but there was still a lot of room for action and political intrigue, and it was all really done with great high-quality animation. The only real negative I have to say about this episode is that the intro sucked. That's really it. I know that's a little unfair. I just didn't like the intro at all. I want the old intro back. This one just blows, in my personal opinion. So I'm giving this week's episode a 4 out of 5. A really good episode that you should check out if you've been following the series. And if you're thinking about jumping on the bandwagon, if you're a fan of old school Gundam anime, definitely give it a watch. It's definitely got some promising moments. Check it out, guys. Good stuff. Thank you guys for watching my review. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. And before you guys leave, please tell me what you thought about this week's episode of Gundam Reconguista NG. What did you think about this week's episode? And where do you think this new arc is going to be going? Please tell me in the comment section below. And if you guys want to subscribe to our channel, you can do that by clicking on the channel icon right up here. It's real easy. You can also follow us on Facebook and on Twitter. And we also just did a brand new interview video. We just interviewed the killer from Too Many Cooks, which is this hilarious, over-the-top, and surreal video from Adult Swim. You should definitely check it out at the end of the video. And if you haven't seen Too Many Cooks, just watch it and be warned, it's pretty freaking messed up. So there it is, guys. Thank you for watching. Super Kami Guru 9000, out.